All right, how's it going, class? My name is Mason Clue, and today we are going to be doing our aircraft feasibility study on the selection matrix. So basically what this is we're going to be comparing payload and weight and costs and speeds and all of that, and basically creating a points list using a selection matrix as we see here. You can do it in a lot of different things, not just in aviation, but it's a really helpful tool to try to figure out, what's best for you. And then you apply a different weight factor to it, what's most important, what's least important. That way the scores can really be tailored towards your business and what you are doing. So jumping right in here, as I was just talking about here in the overview, our objective is to find the best fit for our mission, cost, and efficiency. So the fictitious company that I have is this is going to be our first business aircraft. It's going to be our first aircraft purchase. And we're looking for a plane that has decent storage and size. It isn't too big of a deal, but we're also just trying to maximize costs and expenses, but also have a little bit of room that we can bring a good amount of people or a good amount of baggage. And yeah, as it says there, the company is not going to be super huge. So it's going to be something that can get us from point A to point B primarily, but also have a little bit of storage as well. So the aircraft that we're going to be looking at is the Pilatus PC-12, the Piper M600, the King Air 260, and then the Epic E1000 GX. So jumping right in here, I did a table for each different factor. As we can see, we have the aircraft, the weight factor, it's going to give a score at the end, and then the total points that's going to be added to the total. So as we can see here from the purchase price, the Pilatus and the King Air are going to be the more expensive ones. I believe the Pilatus is about $6 million, the King Air is about $7 million. And then the Epic and the Piper get more points because they're going to be a lot cheaper. The Piper is about $4 million, and the Epic is also around $4.5 million. And then the age on there, all of these aircraft are going to be fairly new, within a year, which is why all of the scores are going to be about the same. As you can see as well, with our weight factor, it's on a scale of 1 to 4, with 4 being the most important and 1 being the least important. So they all get the same amount of points there for the age. And then as we hop into cabin volume here, I put it as a 2, as in, it's a little bit important, but it's not the most important factor. And out of that, the Pilatus PC-12 kind of clears the other ones. It has a lot more room than the other ones. The King Air also has a decent amount of room as well. And then the Epic E1000 and the Piper M600 are kind of down there at the bottom. And then talking about wing loading is basically just how much you're going to feel turbulence, is essentially all it is. So that's why I gave it a weight factor of 1. It's not really that important. Maintenance cost per hour. This is a big one. We're trying to maximize efficiency and try to save as much money as possible. So we got a weight factor of 4 on there. And as you can see, the M600 is the least expensive maintenance per hour, as it gets the most amount of total points. But the Epic E1000 also does a great job there with 76 points, getting a pretty good score as well. The value factor, this is one that needs a little bit of an explanation. There is another tab inside of our spreadsheet that basically calculated the value factor for each one based on all of the different parameters and everything set. Basically how much you're going to be spending versus how much you're going to be getting. So with the value factor here, the Pilatus PC-12, you're getting the most bang for your buck, I guess you could say here. So it's getting 15 points there. King Air coming in second, and then the Epic E1000 coming in third. Talking about direct operating costs, this one's also a big one. I probably could have given it a weight factor of 4 as well, but this one we dropped down to a 3. And all of the scores are very, very similar besides the King Air 260, which costs a lot more for a 300 nautical mile flight. And these are going to be flights, that are going to be really, really important. Flying from place to place, it's going to be, if you're doing a lot of these short flights, which our business most likely is going to be, the King Air, this kind of takes it out of the running with how expensive it is just based by itself, but also how much it costs to operate. And then we also have our payload with our max fuel here. The Pilatus PC-12 and the E1000 Epic are going to be tied there at the first place in that category. So overall in the totals here, we can see that the Epic E1000 ended up getting the most points with 221. The Pilatus is right behind it with 211. Piper M600, 214, and the King Air 260 had 176. So this is where you have to start thinking about what's best for your business. Besides just applying a weight factor to each one, it doesn't also account for the base cost, because that's going to be big for a business, right? The difference between, that's why I put the cost up here. You know, the Epic E1000 is 4.4 million and the Pilatus PC12 is 6.2 million. Well, that's, you know, $1.8 million difference, you know? And the same thing happens with the maintenance per hour here. As we can see, the Epic E1000 is significantly cheaper per hour to run than the PC12. So how much space do you really need in the PC? Because the PC12, the big thing that stands out with it is that it has a lot more cabin space and a lot more storage, but it's going to be a lot more expensive to run. Almost, I think, yeah, it's more than double per hour to run that versus the Epic E1000. So for that reason, for my business, I think the best way to go is the Epic E1000 GX. We're going to be saving a ton of money. We're being efficient, and yeah, it still scored really well and actually scored the highest out of every single one. So now just going into our textbook and biblical reference here. From chapter 4, we've talked about how planning is our number one priority for this business, and careful planning ensures efficient aircraft operations. That one's kind of a given. It balances our budget with the company travel needs. It prevents unexpected costs or scheduling conflicts. It aligns flight department with corporate goals. So those are all big reasons as to why planning is so important for this kind of mission and trying to find the exact right plane for you and your business. And for the biblical reference, I chose Proverbs 21:5, which states that the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. I think this is an absolutely amazing Bible verse, and it really talks about, you know, that wise planning really does create efficiency and success. And it's really important to be thinking through, not making any rash decisions, and trying to make as many charts and graphs and whatever you need to try to figure out what's going to be the best for your business and how much you can save and things like that. So careful aircraft selection prevents waste and supports company growth. So yeah, at the end of the day, we're going to be choosing that Epic E1000. It's going to be the best plane for our business.